trying to be better about that too. All right. Welcome everybody. Good to see you back. Janie, great
Hi,
to see
honey.
you. Mike, good to see you back. Mike, how was your birthday concert, my friend?
It was we didn't go. We ended
No
up not
kidding.
going.
That's all right. Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
Oh,
I jumped on quickly to say hi, and then ended up going. My wife wasn't feeling well.
no.
Yeah. I'm
It was
sorry
only
to hear
Herb
that,
Alpert.
bud.
It was Herb Alpert. I can go find somebody with a trumpet. No, you know.
We
Would have been nice though
we
to
were
see
ha-
him.
we were having that discussion because we can only name one Herb Alpert song between the two
We
of us.
did.
So
We did,
Uh,
yeah.
Tijuana,
try to
Taxi,
remember it, but yeah.
and
Oh, that's right.
Tijuana
Yeah.
Taxi, and then he sang um, this. You say this guy's in love with you. He sang that. Went to number one. Quick trivia bit on that song. He had done a TV special, and it was all him playing the trumpet. And so the network complained because you could never see his face. You just had him doing this with the trumpet. So Burt Bacharach had a song, who was a friend of his, and said, "Well, just do this song." So he just recorded that song for the TV show, and the next day the switchboard, the network just lit up. People were like, "Where can we get that song? It's a great song." So he went into the studio and recorded it, and it went to number one. So
No
Wow.
kidding. Mike Fact. Right
Wow.
off the
There it is.
bat.
There it is already. This already.
There it
I've,
is.
I've served
Already.
I've served my
We got
purpose for the evening. Good night.
it. Great.
Quitter.
We got a band for that. Yeah, we just had that discussion too.
Wow.
Hey, I got to show off. I got to show off my new piece. I got a flag in the
I love
background.
it. Love it. I love it.
Oh, look at
All I have
that.
is all I have is fall leaves, so it goes with the orange.
I found a place on Amazon for like $17. You upload the image you want, and as long as it's not infringing on anything, they make a single-sided flag. I thought perfect for the show. So I don't have
Nice.
anything with back in the day on it. So now I do.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So pretty
When we're
cool.
done, I'll show you guys the flyers I've got made for Scarefest.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's
Oh
right.
yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to that.
Here we got a couple of people on already. Welcome, Nate, Mike, and
Oh, let me
JJ.
jump on the phone and see who's
Yeah,
saying hi.
same
By
here.
the way, I had something brought to me in the mail today.
Oh, did it show up?
It showed up.
Nice. All
Ooh,
It
nice.
showed
right.
up. I wanted to say something to you personally. I'm like, no, I'm waiting for the show. I
Ah,
was
that's cool.
so excited about this. So I was
That's
happy.
cool.
Thank you, Nate, so much.
You
So
absolutely.
now I don't have to yell at Keith. So we're good.
Oh, funny story about that is I'm a pretty tall guy, so anytime I'm in a theater, especially like an old style theater, I always try and get like an end seat or an aisle seat or like one of those ones where it's like, it goes back and then it kind of juts out a little bit. So I get one
Yeah.
that I have leg room. And so we got one. It was right there. Oh, this was like a little skirt or a curtain in front of me. Right in front of those was the playbills, stack of them. So every time he walked by, he would walk away from me to go somewhere else. I'd reach over and grab like two or three.
That's, that's the way to do it, Mike.
And now you've just incriminated yourself.
I know, I know, I know.
Oh, that's the
That's
way
all
to
right.
do it. My friend Ben and I, we go to New York, and during the
Uh-huh.
day we go to the box office and we'd say, well, what time does the show let out tonight? And they'd say 10:30, 10:45. So what we would do is, after we saw the show we were going to see, if there was still time, we'd go to the theater, we'd go in the front door and say, we forgot our umbrella. We grab a couple playbills, and then we go around to the stage door and get autographs. So,
Oh, no kidding.
yeah.
Work smarter, not harder.
That's right. You got to be able to work the system. So,
Work that
yeah.
system exactly. So
We got
in
an evening,
honor
folks.
in honor of tonight, I'm sorry, Nate, I didn't mean to cut you off. So in honor
No,
of tonight,
go right ahead. You were talking.
in honor of tonight, I have to tell you because we're talking about westerns. Is that correct?
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
Honey, I am eating me some barbecue food tonight. Let me tell you right now, I got me some barbecue pork going on.
Oh, there you go. Barbecue pork and whiskey. That's
Woo!
what you need, right?
That's right. I was gonna do the pork and beans, kind of like Slim Pickens, but I
Blazing
thought,
Saddles.
nah. So anyway,
John, whiskey with a little bit of gunpowder in it. Which movie was that from?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just
Josie Wales?
It always stuck with me because I thought you put gunpowder in whiskey.
I'll have to find it now.
Yeah, right. I swear it was a line from one of the movies.
This camera's going to drive me damn crazy.
We're gonna have to buy you a new camera. We're gonna start a GoFundMe.
There we go. Support Mike.
It's always something.
Wouldn't be a good show if it wasn't.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's true.
That's the fun of live TV, right? We got FYI, Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss are A&M of the record company A&M Records.
A&M, that's true.
Oh,
Very
Did not
who
know
said
that.
good.
Whose
That
fact
was
was
Victor.
that? Was that Victor's fact?
I don't know. I'm fixing to find out.
Paul Oliva, welcome.
Hey, Paul. Hey, honey.
Welcome.
Yeah,
That was
Very
Victor. Victor. Yep. Victor's.
Yep.
Yep.
it was Victor's fact. Huh?
I think it was Victor. Let me see. Let me double check.
It was indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, it was him.
Yep.
Very nice.
My buddy Paul's on here tonight.
Yeah, Paul Levy. Yeah, welcome. Good to see you. Very nice. Okay, well, you all adjusted, Mike?
I think so. If I don't move,
Don't
Gotta get you a roll of duct tape.
I'm just
All
gonna
right.
be, people think my camera froze. I'm just gonna be like,
It's gonna be like getting your picture taken in the 1800s. You got to put like a little metal spine up to hold you still so you don't mess the picture up. Goes along with the theme tonight, right?
look like Doc and Marty.
right. Got to do no pressure. Got to do a good show tonight. I heard back from Polk & Company that do the public relations for The Shark Is Broken. About having Ian on the show. So I sent them some links, and they said, "Well, maybe we'll take a look at it." So
Really? Oh, okay. Wow. All right, Janie, no more messing
Right.
around. All business. So here we go.
that's right. Yeah, we got to be our fun self because that's the fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We just throw facts out. Let's have a little fun.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Rock and roll. All right, so let me kind of get us started. Let me move us around here just a little bit at least. So tonight we are
Nice.
talking about Westerns. So yeah, and I'll be honest with you, trying to narrow things down to like main ideas is a little tough because man, what a broad category that we're talking about here. So just figured we'd look at a couple things and then kind of let it roll out from there. Wherever the discussion takes us, I'll see if I can't follow us with a couple visuals. Sound good?
Okay. Sounds good to
I'm
me.
ready.
All right. So we got bringing in Sean on the show. I would love it.
If you did a Western, we could have him tonight.
That's right.
This is true. This is true. Well, there's always next Thursday. Right?
He'd be like the joke they make of Liam Neeson doing a Western, though. So I don't know how that transcribes.
Well, I thought I'd open us up with a little history on the original Western, the first
cool.
Western. I knew a little bit about this because of the lore. One of the scenes that was made, actually the bottom right scene, was very well known, and many people have done their own little thank you to this scene in some of their own movies. And this was the first Western in North America, and apparently it was taken after, I guess, a movie that was shot over in England maybe a couple years prior. It was done by the Edison Film Company. I don't remember the director's name or anything like that. It was called The Great Train Robbery, and it was before the talkies were out. It was a silent film. It just had I want to say it had like piano or maybe like some type of organ or something. That was just the background sound just to roll it out. You guys familiar with this at all?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm
Alexa,
sure you know more about it than I do.
play some old timey silent movie music.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Piano with the piano. Yes.
Alexa has no old timey silent movie music.
Oh,
Am I paying $9 a month for?
you should say old Western saloon music and see what that pops up.
Yeah.
See what comes
Alexa,
up. Sure.
play some old Western saloon music.
Western Old Saloon by Wild Country Instrumentals on Amazon Music.
Great train robbery.
And
Alexa,
so this was,
Volume 4. Go ahead, Nate. I'm sorry.
that's right. This was shot in the early 1900s, right around the turn of the century. And it was, if I watched it, it was about, I want to say it was like 12 minutes long, which probably was pretty good length at that time, I would assume. And ironically, when I looked up to see how and where it was shot, it was majority of it was shot in New York and New Jersey, which is kind of ironic that it was a Western, which throws you off a little bit. Part of it was shot on, I believe, on the shores of the Delaware River, even from what they said. So, and
I think Edison had his studio because he was based in Menlo Park, New Jersey. So that's probably why they.
That's probably why, because of
built the sets.
Thomas Edison.
That makes the connection. And the scene on the bottom right, the one I was talking about earlier, apparently when they first showed the film, was so striking to the individuals that were sitting in the theater. He literally takes a gun, points it at the screen, and fires off all the rounds. People would get up and run out of the theater because they thought it was that real, that much of a likeness to something that was actually happening.
Yeah.
Which, by today's standards, kind of blows your mind. But when you really put that into perspective, probably the first time people have seen any type of moving picture on film, I can totally understand that. I mean, I've heard that happening before with like movies with trains and stuff around turn of the century, but I thought that was pretty impressive. So I wanted to just kind of, pay a little homage to the original. Really.
Says here the possible director, Edwin Stanton Porter, who was with the Edison Manufacturing Company, and so he was a director, studio manager, and cinematographer. So he was a triple threat, yeah.
And also, I could see that because, theaters, whatever, they were usually in more cosmopolitan towns like New York and Chicago. Mm-hmm. And probably around then, nobody was carrying guns anymore. So a lot of people probably never saw a gun before they saw this movie.
Yeah. Let alone have one pointed at them. Yeah, sure.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. I even like the just the poster is kind of cool.
Yeah,
probably all hand drawn and
pretty neat.
Pretty cool.
Apparently,
that's pretty cool.
It's been done and redone a couple times. And
I saw that.
Yeah. Even as new as the last, say, 30 years, people have done their own little tribute to some of the scenes in the film. So it says a lot about that. I mean, you're going on over 100 years, so impressive.
There you go.
I got a couple more people chiming in. Tombstone, awesome. Have to agree. Absolutely love the Tombstone movie.
Victor, you like Tombstone? I thought for sure you'd say, "Oh, I saw Tombstone. I fell asleep."
Dude.
And of course, Young Guns and Young Guns. Yeah. And then a question here. I'm not sure what this is referring back to. Maybe you guys know. It says,
there was a movie called The Great Train Robbery with Sean Connery, based on a true story about a English gentleman that robbed, I think it was a mail train, best known for, and the actual robber, when he was convicted, said it, and they say, "Mr. So-and-so, why did you rob the train?" He says, "Because of the money." So,
okay, plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
Down to brass tacks. Yeah. So I thought I'd move us in a little bit to some of the golden age. Golden age, and I have seen bits and pieces of some of these here and there. Definitely familiar with some of these guys out of my era. I grew up. This would have been, definitely things that let my parents watch.
Hmm.
I can, I just remember catching glimpses of things here and there. You always knew who Trigger was and Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and quite a few of these guys. But I can't say I have a lot of background with a lot of these westerns. To be perfectly honest with you. What about you guys?
I have a
Gene Autry?
connection to Roy Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
really?
I do. I have a really great story about Roy Rogers.
Let's
Now
hear it.
the hamburger restaurant or
Yeah, no. No,
okay.
no,
Is-
no, 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 no. The actual family there. Okay. So you know that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, his family was from the Cincinnati, Ohio area. And
Oh,
yeah, and so that's where part of my family is. And my very first vehicle was a 1977 Ford Ranger F-150. No automatic windows, nothing like that. But anyway, it was a part of Roy's, that was his vehicle. And it was sold to one of my uncles and it was passed down to me. And that was my very first
okay.
vehicle was from Roy. Yes.
Janie. Wow. That blows me away.
But
Really?
you can't have Roy without having Dale either in these
yeah.
movies.
Yeah, this is true.
So this was you're absolutely right, Nate. These were the movies that our parents had watched when they were younger. Either they went to the
Yes.
theater, especially, those who were born in the late 40s, like my mom and my dad, and then 50s came along, you went to the afternoon matinee. You saw all these great movies. I mean, Gene Autry. Who doesn't know Gene Autry? If you've listened to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you should know who Gene Autry is.
The
And
singing
so,
cowboy. Yeah.
correct, he is a singing cowboy. So this is a very good collection of just old fashioned westerns that even I was talking to my mother, she still watches all the time.
Yeah, they're still very prevalent. There's still a
Yeah.
lot of them around, to my
Uh huh.
understanding.
Yep.
An awful lot of them around. And so, since we're diving into that, I thought maybe we hit one or two of the big guys. And to be honest with you, I went with some of the more obvious guys because it's things that I'm more familiar with. So thought we'd give it a ride and see what we have here. Of course, John Wayne being the one that always comes to mind. He's definitely a guy that popped up the other week. We were talking about tough guys. And again, I'm familiar with some of his films. I've definitely seen a handful of them. A bunch I did not. But he went across the genre, and I was kind of reminded. I forgot. I remember the last film that he made. I forgot the premise of it, and I didn't realize how much it reflected what was going on in his real life.
The
You
shootist.
know,
Yeah.
The
yeah,
shooters.
the shootist. He was an old gunslinger and didn't want to die of cancer. And I thought, wow. I mean, that must have been um, pretty tough one for him to make. I would assume because pretty wore that one close to the chest.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you have for favorites for John Wayne?
Man
Mike,
Who
I'll let
Shot
you go.
Ruby Valance.
Ooh, yeah.
True Grit.
Yes.
True Grit. Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah, great
Yeah.
film.
The
Bruce
Searchers. The
Cockburn.
original Stagecoach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He did so many, but I think it's a shot from The Quiet Man there in the
Yep, that's
yeah.
him in The Quiet Man.
Yeah, try to get a handful of different ones mixed in. Ones that I'm somewhat familiar with the Searchers, and even like I can remember watching some of his military films, Green Beret being one of those, and some of these
Yeah.
others. He even tried to do like a Dirty Harry-esque type movie in the '70s. A little bit of everything, I think, throughout his career, but obviously, you know, this was his forte.
The Searchers is basically Star Wars because the Star Wars is actually basically the Searchers, but in space. So
No kidding.
yeah, basically the same story, but both excellent films.
Jeez.
That film, Mike, I definitely fell asleep. Not sure which one. I'm guessing.
Oh, White Earp.
Wyatt Earp was good. You had that appreciation for the historical aspect of it. I guess I always looked at the Wyatt Earp film versus the Tombstone film. It was a snapshot. Definitely had some, was dressed up a bit for the story, which I'm sure Wyatt Earp was as well. But Wyatt Earp was definitely much more of following him throughout his entire career.
It just came out. It came out after Tombstone, and Dennis Quaid's the best part of that movie. You, my friend,
Yes.
White Earp.
He
But
was.
I wish that Lawrence Kasdan, who did Silverado, another one of my favorites. I wish if he had Kevin Costner, we're going to do a Western. I wish they'd done a sequel to Silverado because I would love to know what happened to the four main characters after
Mhm.
after they rode away. We'll be back. Even Kevin Costner yells, "We'll be back," but they never came
Never
back.
came back.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a short connection to Wyatt Earp, or my small connection. I was on the only cruise I've ever been on in my life. Went to Alaska, and I was up in Alaska. And when you go to Juneau, which is the capital of Alaska, there is a little old saloon that they keep. And I'm sure it's just a touristy thing. They keep open, and they keep it reminiscent of perhaps what it would have been like during the gold rush. You walk in, sawdust on the floor. You got an Irish guy on a piano singing pub songs, and it's a little microbrewery, and they serve food and very rustic inside. And hanging on the wall in a glass case was a pistol carried by Wyatt Earp. And the law was when you came into Juneau that you couldn't walk around with a gun. So they held his gun at the bar. He never came back for it. And as you know, that's what he did after leaving the West. He decided to go up and try and strike a fortune up in Alaska. I don't know much beyond that,
Oh, cool.
but I do know that I saw his gun. I thought that was always kind of fun.
Huh.
Good stuff.
It's pretty cool.
It's a cool story.
Yeah, good stuff. Good beer too. It was a good place. I enjoyed it. So my favorite Western film is High Plains Drifter, starring Clint Eastwood. Well, I was really hoping this topic was going to come up. We got to talk about.
There he is. Yep, Eastwood.
To this day, my favorite. I mean, I told you guys before. This is part of the reason why I didn't watch a lot of John Wayne, because John Wayne was very vocal. He and other guys did not like Clint Eastwood. Didn't like the young up and comer. Didn't like the whole anti-hero stance, and I loved it. Of course, I grew up at the perfect time to love it, but I had a stepdad who was a huge Eastwood fan, and so even as a little kid, as long as my mom wasn't around, I was okay watching Fistful of Dollars and A Few Dollars More and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And then when I was, I don't know, I was probably 10, 12, something like that. Outlaw Josie Wales came out, and a lot of his other films, and just amazing stuff. Still hooked. And then the Dirty Harry films, obviously, they were around the 70s as well. And to this day, my favorite of all time. I have just about everything he has on disc. Even some of the things that maybe weren't all that popular still made for good films. The Beguiled, Ivor Sanction, which is a great film. You just don't hear it. I mean, everyone talks Dirty Harry, talks, Blondie, the Man with No Name, but a lot of good stuff over the years. He's always even his last one, Cry Macho. I don't know if you guys have seen that one or not. I mean, he was 90, 91 when he shot that. And
How was that?
Cry Macho, he did that. Maybe he did it for, I think it was an HBO movie. He has
It's the first Eastwood film since I've been a film critic, going on an official recognized, going on 24 years. It's the first Eastwood film that the critics did not get a screener of. And one of my employees watched it the other day, and he said, "Oh, I just wasted 2 hours." I was like, "No, it's Clint Eastwood. You never waste 2 hours."
Exactly. Well, and I heard it catch some flack because they're like, he's too old. He's not doing any action. The film was dry. The guy's 91 years old. It was a good story. And he's aware of that. That's probably why he chose the story that he did. I thought it was done pretty well.
I think he's shooting. I think he's shooting a film right now too. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but
he had said that Gran Torino is going to be his last film role. And he's done a couple. He's done some since. He's directed a lot since, and but I just think he's 91. He looks better than I do, and he's just gonna. I mean, as long as you got the fire. I mean, he famously said. He said. Every day you do something you enjoy, it's you're not working. He just loves making movies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's notoriously. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's one that he even sang in. Nate, do you even know which one he sang in?
Oh yes, Oklahoma. No, Ping Wagon.
There it is. There it is.
Sorry.
There it is.
Sorry.
You were
Paint
close.
Wagon with. Wait a second. Who did he sing with?
The man that wanted to be Quint, or that
He was
Spielberg
another
wanted
tough
to be
guy.
Quint.
That's right.
Lee Marvin.
Yes,
Lee
Lee
Marvin.
Marvin. That's right.
He also sang in Honky Tonk Man, which
That's
was a
right,
film
he
he
did.
did
Yes.
with his son Kyle.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right. With Kyle.
Like
I
Kyle, the
forgot
bass
about
player.
that. Right.
Yeah.
And now his son, the other one, what is his name?
Oh, Scott,
Yeah.
the good looking one.
Scott is
Oh my God.
uncanny. They look so much alike.
Yeah. Does he not look like Clint in 1966?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
holy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's-
He can't deny that child.
I'm surprised
Well-
they're not remaking all of his old films with him.
With Scott in
all his
them.
westerns, yeah. Let's
So
do
a couple
this
years
westerns
ago,
with an English cast.
yeah, a couple years ago, he put on the hat and the
saw
shawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were like, "Wow,
Wow.
man, you
It
guys
was-
gotta do
yeah.
something with that." You know? Yeah.
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 That's right. And he wasn't that's right. He was in Rawhide. That's where he started.
Rowdy Yates. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
Also in Return of the Creature, the sequel to The Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
He was wearing a white lab coat. He was a doctor or a scientist,
Yep.
wasn't he?
Mhm.
That's right. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Good stuff. And The Unforgiven. Did that just not wrap up
That's
every
my favorite.
Western he's ever done?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
really,
my
you know?
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
And
favorite.
that was a film that when it came out at first, you know, I don't think it took a beating. I don't think it was pushed very well, to be honest with you.
It came out at the end of August. Warner Brothers dumped it because they would always, Clinton would do a studio film, they'd make a lot of money, and then they would give him money to do a little film. Like when he did Honky Tonk Man, he also did Sudden Impact. So you got, another Dirty Harry movie, but I've got this small film I'm doing with my son. I'm a country western singer. And Warner Brothers dumped it. And the critics, much like Brazil in '85, the critics really took to this film, and it got awards, it got a lot of recognition, and then by the time it won the Oscar, Warner Brothers was like, "Oh, we were behind you, Clint, all the way." No, you weren't. You dumped it in 200 theaters because part of the contract says you got to play it in a movie theater for 2 weeks, and that's what you did. So yeah, but yeah, it's a great film, and it really. Finally, I was a fan of Eastwood's more personal stuff, his directing, probably back to Josie Wales and Honky Tonk Man, Bronco Billy, and White Hunter Black Heart. So all of a sudden, it was like he was Jerry Lewis in France. All of a sudden, people were recognizing him as the great filmmaker that he was. So yeah, and now everything he does, even Jersey Boys, which was kind of schmaltzy, it was well done. He knows his way around a camera.
Yeah, and is notoriously very thrifty when it comes to not going over budget. In fact, a lot of times he'll take it in on the first shot. Go, let's roll out, and he doesn't yell. He doesn't yell cut. He doesn't get loud and vocal. And he said the reason why he doesn't. In fact, Mike, maybe you told me. You told me this. The reason why he doesn't was because when he was acting, I believe it was on TV shows, and the directors would yell and then spook the horses that he was on.
Yeah.
He was worried about getting hurt or thrown off the horse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very mild-mannered guy when you see him on the set as director. Yeah.
Malcolm 10. Malcolm 10 was better than it was not.
Malcolm X.
It was a great. I was in the theater. I was in the theater business then, and I would have so many people come up because the poster for Malcolm X was just an X, and they would come up and they'd say, "What's Malcolm 10 about?" And I would say, in a
Malcolm
straight, I'd say, "It's the one where he fights the Russian." And they go, "Oh, really? Oh, wow, okay." Idiots.
What happened through Malcolm 1 through 9? Oh,
Where he fights the Russians. That's
oh
hysterical.
my gosh.
Oh my God. Well, we'll take a little bit of a left turn here. So
Ooh, Westworld.
going through and thinking about some films, I was thinking about some odd westerns. There was a lot of kind of left field ones that went all different directions over the years. There was I found ones that were dealing with like ghosts and things, where like Billy the Kid or someone would go hijack a train and try and show up in a town that no one knew who he was, and he'd show up in a town full of ghosts and spirits. Billy the Kid versus Dracula. When he goes into town and Dracula happens to come into the western town and is trying to take over. I mean, it's unbelievable some of the different things out there. Some of these are
But
big and popular,
you're,
and we
you're
all know
combining,
them.
you're combining the two things kids love: horror movies and
And
Billy the Kid. It
Billy the
probably
Kid.
made a boat full of money.
I'm sure Billy the Kid's done a lot of stuff, and even, Westworld. I mean, that's been done, and that has been talked about. I mean, I can remember watching an episode of the Super Friends that was kind of loosely tied into Westworld, which was more or less the Terminator, just 30 years prior in a Western, wasn't it? I mean, from what I remember.
There was also a future world. I think it came after Westworld. I think Westworld was first with Yul Brynner and I believe Cliff Robertson. Yeah, great movie. My dad, he went to every. I saw a lot of the westerns because my dad, whatever opened the drive-in, we were there opening night. So I think it's a TV series now, isn't it?
Yes.
Was
HBO,
it
I
on
believe. I
HBO?
think. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Nick Mara, who's good friends with us, and he's done a lot of the casting, the whole makeup artist kind of deal, and he's done a lot of molds and wax figures. He's the one that that helped with the three uh guys for Jaws Fest. He actually did a recreation of Yul Brynner's character where the face pops out, slides over, comes back, and Nick had worked with Stan Winston. So he worked with him with Lake Placid. He helped build the 25 whatever alligator that, Betty White was feeding the cows with. So and so I mean, he's a genius on it. And he's done statues of he did a bronze memorial for Anton Yelkin's family. When he tragically passed, it was a bronze statue. He's done one for Chris Cornell, and for him to do this with Yul Brynner and Roy, and he's done it with Robert Shaw. I mean, it's uncanny what he can do.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. And Cowboys versus Aliens, I was really shocked
Oh
when I
yeah,
saw it.
no,
When that
no.
came out, and who did it. I went and watched it strictly because of who was starring in it. I'm
Yeah,
like, come on,
Harrison
Han
Ford.
Solo and 007 are in this movie. I mean, come on,
Right, exactly.
I got to go watch this.
What could go wrong?
Sure.
Right.
That was the Westworld tagline.
What could
Westworld, where nothing could go wrong.
wrong?
Go
Exactly.
wrong.
Unless
Go
you watch
wrong.
Cowboys and Aliens.
I like
Oh
Cowboys.
man,
Alien.
I thought it was a popcorn movie. I mean, if you went with the intention, I'm going to go and sit and enjoy myself and watch the movie, then you enjoyed the movie. If
Yeah.
you go and you're going to be Mr. Internet critique, well, then you're probably not going to be very satisfied. So it is what it is. I'm not going to say I didn't like it. It was very much an out there concept, and I very much felt like never would have expected to see that from those two guys. So either they were really invested in it, or maybe they made very well with it. I mean, not well. I don't know. Hard to say. But and since we're on the idea of oddities or kind of oddballs, I stumbled across. I was doing a little digging with like TV shows as well, and I stumbled across some TV shows with some pretty familiar faces in there, and
Okay.
one of which I've heard of. The other two never knew that they existed, and that is Barbary Coast. And that's Captain Kirk there on the right.
William Shatner. Yeah.
Yeah, back in I want to say like 70, 75, 76. Tried to do a little bit of Western on television there. And he's got a good look going. He's got the lamb chop sideburns. He's got the mustache and the little bow tie or necktie going there. So you familiar with that, Mike?
I watched it. It was on ABC.
Was it a TV movie kind of a deal?
No, it was a series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think it might have gone one season.
Oh, okay.
And the one on the left there apparently wasn't was pretty short lived. It was called The Quest, and obviously we're looking at Kirk Douglas and help me out.
No, that's
Someone
is
else.
it Kurt Russell and Tim
Kurt Russell.
Kurt
Matheson?
Russell.
Matheson.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
Matheson. Yeah.
Tim Matheson.
Apparently, also tried a stint at one called The Quest. Not
Actually,
familiar with that at all.
For the way that I
Yeah.
look at it, almost looks like Spicoli from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
He needs
it
some black and white.
does. You know,
He's
sitting.
a
he's
pair of
sitting
black
there-
and white checkered vans and a pizza.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's in history class.
Guys
and-
can
yeah,
see
that's
that's
Nick.
Hold on, let me pull you up there.
that's
Go ahead.
Nick
There it
Mayer's
is.
work. He did a Quinn thing. And
Oh,
I'm-
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I,
Nick.
I did the Hollywood show. I was promoting Jaws 2, so I wanted Jaws 2 shirt, and I'm looking to where the photographer told me to look, but look, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at because Quinn's looking the other way. But it's just amazing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna give,
Yeah,
give
I've
our
seen
buddy a
pictures
shout
of
out.
that. And I saw a video of Richard Dreyfuss giving him a kiss.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss saw that, and yeah, I mean, pretty impressive
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was Dirty Sally? Go back to that. What you had? I'd never heard of
yes.
that.
Nope. Let me go back to that. I will pull that up. So Dirty Sally was supposed to be a follow-up on a film, and now, of course, myself and names, I'm drawing a blank. I'm gonna have to look this up. This was supposed to be a follow-up to a film that was made that apparently did fairly well, but Dirty Sally for it never really took off. In fact, I want to say it was only on for a handful of episodes, and then it got done. I don't know a whole lot beyond that. Just really kind of caught my attention with some of these shows because I do remember some of these things popping up in the 70s. I also remember, in the 70s, I was a kid. I remember, at the time, the Lone Ranger making a huge comeback. I was a huge
Yeah.
Lone Ranger in
Yeah.
the 70s because, they went into syndication. We watched it all the time. The toys were coming out, and I wanted to be the Lone Ranger. I had.
But there was
six
was
guns and a
another
whole
movie
team.
of the Lone Ranger, wasn't it, Mike? Before the Johnny Depp one.
Yeah, with actually Mark Gilpin's in it. He plays the young Lone Ranger as a boy.
Okay, that's
Legend
what I
of the
thought.
Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think other 70s westerns. Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Alias Smith and Jones. And hell, Gunsmoke was still going strong in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Got a comment there. Young Riders was a Western group with Josh Brolin and Stephen Baldwin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that. Yeah. I think that came out right pretty much shortly after Josh Brolin, if I'm not mistaken, after Goonies had come out. So this was a few years later, I think, when that happened, because he was in Goonies. Josh Brolin was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Stephen Baldwin, the Baldwin brothers were just starting to get on track. Everybody knew about Alec, but here comes all the rest of them. So I saw that. It was pretty good.
Interesting. All right. So, and Josh Brolin, almost before he made his big step into the Marvel world, actually did a comic book movie Western as well.
Yeah.
Give me a
I
second.
can't think of the name of it.
We will come back to it because I did watch it because I do remember the character from the comic books. He had scarred up really bad on his face, and if I remember, I'm pretty sure he was similar to Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
I know who you mean. I didn't see it, but I know the movie you're talking about.
I know. I didn't see it either. Okay, that's it. All right, I'm looking it up.
Deep dive time.
Not Max Payne.
No,
that was something else.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because he was very scarred on his face.
Jonah Hex.
That's it, Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex. Was the name.
Yeah.
Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. We got Gunsmoke took Gilligan's Island off the air in 1966. That's got to be a victor fact right there.
Oh, don't be hating, okay?
Gunsmoke ran for 20 some years between radio and television. So
yeah. Paul said Jonah. Yeah, Jonah Hex. Yeah, so I was all over it.
There. Yep. Definitely Jonah Hex.
Yep.
Yes. Well, since we're on, since we're hitting on a little bit on TV shows, we might as well try and hit a couple. Maybe talk about some of the TV shows here.
Oh, there it is.
Dive into there, and amazing is to this day I see the Rifleman on, and
Yep.
I don't know if it's like USA or what it's on. Like daily, it's on every single day. They're still running that, and I mean, it was big. I don't know if it was as big as some of the other ones here, but it was, the fact that
Well,
it's still playing to this day is and quite a fun one. Yeah,
Only
yeah,
mentioned
like that.
once. What was Lucas McCain's wife's name? Late wife.
oh, I don't know.
Only mentioned once by Micah.
I don't
Margaret.
have a clue, buddy.
Margaret.
All right, really? Ah,
And then when the Rifleman ended, Paul Fix, who played Micah in the pilot, in the Star Trek pilot, he's the doctor. He's the ship's doctor.
really? And we keep going from Star Trek back to westerns and over to Star Trek again. This is the second connection now. Not
Yeah.
something I thought we were going to follow.
I'm sure
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy played. DeForest Kelly was in a lot of westerns
Yeah,
in the
Yeah.
50s.
50s.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it all
Yeah.
goes back to Star Trek.
It all goes back to Star Trek connection to the Wild West. That's pretty good. And now you say I've heard there's been a handful of those guys that crossed over just due to the time period. And I guess the genre to an extent, there's a little bit of parallels there. You're out in the Wild West, kind of out necessarily the unknown, beyond the stretch of the law. So I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. So we got Wagon Train, Bonanza, Rawhide, which we were hitting on a little bit earlier.
Bonanza.
Bonanza. Yeah.
I did not know until I started watching repeats in the 80s. I did not know that he had 3 sons. When I started watching it, I didn't know who Adam was. Pernell
Oh
Roberts.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Oh, really?
yeah,
never knew him. It was
yeah. There was,
always Hoss and Little Joe for me.
that's right. No, Adam was, but he was very. It was hardly ever in any episodes, though, right?
Yeah,
Adam.
then
Yeah, so
I
that's why you never knew.
I remember him as a kid. Then he went on to be
Right.
Trapper
Yeah.
John. So I guess he had a little
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
John Z.
Have Gun Will Travel, Paladin. And it's great because a lot of these I listen to on the old timey radio station on satellite. I listen to Have Gun Will Travel a lot, Gunsmoke with William Conrad.
They're still broadcasting them? Oh, that's cool.
The Rifleman, Bonanza, Rawhide, Wagon Train.
Michael Landon on Bonanza. I mean, he went from that
Yeah,
to didn't he go from there to Little House, didn't he?
Yeah. And one last Star Trek reference. When Gene Roddenberry pitched Star Trek in his pitch write up, he called it Wagon Train to the Stars. So,
Oh my gosh!
kidding.
Wow, there you go. Wow.
Only Mike can tie Star Trek into the West.
Well, I think everything is either is tied. I think it's all tied into Star Trek.
It is at
I mean,
some
Gene
point.
Roddenberry, I mean, he had a production company, did he not? So that's how I Love Lucy, I think, came on the air.
Yeah, well, they did Desilu. Desilu ran that, and
Correct,
Star Trek was a Desilu show. Yeah,
It was a Desilu show. Yeah,
No kidding.
no kidding.
Well,
Da-da.
Janie's facts.
Janie's facts.
there it is.
There it is. We got Janie's facts up there. You betcha. All right.
There's Spicoli again. Okay, never mind.
Coming back for more. So I tried to jump in a little bit too to talk about some of the sets. And Janie, you're the one that kind of tipped me off to some of this. The fact that I mean, some of these sets by themselves are very, very well known, big tourist attractions, and at least one or two of them. I want to say Pioneer Town and maybe Silvertown. One of the I think it's Pioneer Town. It's a national. It's not a national monument, but it's a national place people go to visit. It's like a national park. It's like going out and like visiting like the Grand Canyon or something.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive. So.
There was one that when John and I we traveled out to Vegas, and where's this located at actually? Do you know, Nate?
Which one? Pioneer Town?
Either one. Do you know where they're located at?
Yeah, I want to say
The-
Pioneer Town was California, if
okay.
I'm not mistaken, and then one of the other ones was Utah.
Okay. There's one that John and I went to outside of Vegas because it was near a state park there in Nevada, and it was a real
Mhm.
western town, and you got to go. Everything was pretty much intact as much as it could be, but you got to walk around, and it was like you got to see the old saloon, you got to see the general store, you got to
Mhm.
really see how the whole town was built up, and in the middle of it were the gallows. So they had people come out and do a western type show. They picked John to be the judge, and I'm thinking, boy, you just messed up there. But anyway, so it was really a cool experiment to do this, and I think they said at one point in time some westerns were filmed there, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, I'm what do I know? But it was really cool to where you really feel like you're there, and that's what these studios try to do, to build these sets. I'd
So
like to go to
I
Pioneer Town.
oh yeah, I mean, and I would assume probably with it being that big of a lure and attraction, they probably still stage like some old live street outs and or
Yeah.
maybe some horses running through town and trying to hijack one of them. So yeah, absolutely, and
Well, if that
Paramount
street,
Ranch and
oh, absolutely. If that street is
yeah,
steaming, walk around it.
yeah. You're not kidding. You're scraping them boots off.
That's right.
And some of these places boasted something like 400 plus films,
Yeah.
full length feature films that were shot at them. And the bottom right, which I want to say is Utah, that's where John Wayne preferred to shoot a lot of his films. Apparently, he was very much did, and unless it was his preference, maybe it was the company he was working for. A lot of films that he did, they used that place over and over, which they had to get really creative, I would think, because you can only see the same film or the same town so many times. So, I'm sure they were
Yeah.
changing perspectives, changing buildings, so you didn't see the same thing over and over. So
Right. Right. Mike, have you ever when you went out to California in some of these studios, did you ever take a studio tour and really go through like old Western towns and
No.
how they described it? Okay. So here's another fact. I was watching because I get so bored. I will go on YouTube and watch all these backlot tours, Universal, Warner Brothers, whatever. And they said what they would do is that the door frames, whether it's in the saloon or the doctor's office or whatever, they're smaller. They build them smaller on purpose for the camera to make it look, or for the actor to make it look like they're bigger. So when you see the big old cowboy coming in there, you think he's all tall, big, and tough, when actually the set is smaller.
That's why
And
Alan
that
Ladd.
really,
Alan Ladd looks so tall and
saw
shame.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So it made him look like you. Well, you knew who he was. He's brawn. He's coming in. The shoulders are wide. The door frames are smaller, so there's a lot. So the actors to make them look better on camera.
no
Ah,
kidding. Wow,
that's a Janie's fact.
wow. Yeah, it's definitely a Janie's fact. It's
I have no life. I told you guys this.
like Sylvester Stallone, like for the longest time period, I thought the guy was like 6'2", 6'3", something like that. And then when you actually see his stature, you're going, wow, really?
Yeah, exactly.
A
Oh,
lot of
Nate,
those guys.
did you just say you could kick Sylvester Stallone's ass?
Oh, those
Oh,
words never came out of my
going.
mouth.
I'm going. This guy in Pennsylvania slides that he does not.
He said he could try and attempt it, but he didn't say he was going to win. See, there's a difference.
Do you know why? Because when I ran the Philly Marathon, at the end of it, we finished at the art museum. They would not let us run the damn steps up to the Rocky statue. You believe
That
that?
is rude. That's rude.
Would not let us run the steps up. They had it roped off. Said no way, can't do it. I don't know.
Should have been a rebel.
Yeah.
Done it anyway.
Yeah, Sly's over. I think he's over in the Vatican right now, talking with the Pope. Anyhow,
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. Yeah.
so a clip of him introducing the Pope to his daughters. Good stuff there. So
I think the Pope was like, "Come on, let's go."
little spar action there.
Yeah.
Well, one of his daughters, his name's Sistine, so maybe
No, the chapel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't know.
Oh my
Here.
god!
There's,
Sorry.
there's some great comedic films out there. Western.
He went away.
Uh-oh. It's the Mike and Jane show.
Hey, listen, with that's it's always a show, dude.
I can
And
just I can have Phil just turn the Y and J to an N. And back in the day with Mike and Jane. There he is.
out of
Ah,
respect, there.
Mac. I don't know what happened. A little technical glitch there. I apologize for that.
No worries,
Drop
man.
us all back in.
Jane was trying to take over the show.
That's all right. You
As
can have
always.
it. I'm good.
As
Hey, we got a couple of comments. Let me get our visuals back up, and maybe we could roast a couple of comments
Wanted-
here.
Answer that question. Wanted, dead or alive? The Steve McQueen TV show.
The great Steve McQueen started in the TV shows Western. What was the name
Yep.
of it?
All right.
There it is. Okay.
Wanted,
Do you
dead or alive?
consider
Steve
do you
McQueen.
consider
man,
Blazing
so good.
Saddles a western?
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's a
god!
western.
I have to. I'm sorry. It's hilarious to me. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Yes, I
It's
consider it.
definitely a western. Absolutely a
Absolutely.
western.
How can you turn down Madeline Kahn? I'm sorry.
Never.
Never.
Yeah. Paul, Blazing Saddles is definitely a western and a damn funny.
Oh,
it
so
is.
that was Paul that was asking about that dude.
Paul
come
asked
on,
and
don't
Victor
break my
answered, I
heart.
believe.
Don't break my heart. The campfire scene alone is worth it. I'm sorry. It's worth it, dude. Come on.
So many good parts.
Oh my god.
So many good parts of that film. All right, I'm sorry. We're back here. So back on to some of the comedies here. And some of these I remember growing up with them. Some of them, caught in the theater, or my son's 18 years old, so we saw like A Million Ways to Die in the West, and The Ridiculous Six with Adam Sandler. They were fun movies. They were movies you went, and they were definitely in the same vein. It seems that Blazing Saddle really kind of laid down the footprint for some of these guys. They just took in a little bit direction. I put City Slickers in there. I mean, that in large was a Western comedy as well.
It's got a horse and cowboy hats. Yeah, it's
exactly. Yeah, and
well, they were going on a trail ride, were they not? As a
moving cows, moving cattle.
Yeah, moving cattle. So yeah.
So what we got? 50th anniversary.
Oh, look, I made a cow.
Wow.
Oh look, I made a cow. And really, I think, and I don't know if Mike can verify this or not, but Mel Brooks, when he did Blazing Saddles, it was really a love letter to westerns.
Yes, he loved westerns. He actually tried to get Gig Young, who had done westerns, to play the Waco Kid, but he was battling alcoholism, and he basically called Gene Wilder on a Friday, and he showed up first day on the set on a Monday. But yeah, it's kind of like Young Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein was as funny as it was a real homage to the horror films of the 30s.
Yeah.
And that's what Blazing Saddles was.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the Apple Dumpling Gang. I can't tell you how many times I saw that as a kid. I want to say, was that a Disney film?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Disney.
Yes,
I
Disney.
thought it was. Yeah.
I think there were two Apple Dumpling movies.
I think it rides again. Could be wrong.
Yeah, that's it. Apple Dumpling Gang
Rides
rides
Again.
again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, what do we got here? Who was that 72-year-old actor in City Slickers? Won Best Supporting Actor.
Jack Palance.
Who was Jack Palance? Who the hell answered that?
It wasn't me.
You don't know who Jack Palance is?
Get off the show. You with the sneakers out of the pool. I don't know.
He's the bad guy in Chain. Oh my God, how do you not know who Jack Palance is?
Jack Palance. I mean, just his delivery, his voice, his demeanor alone. I mean, he stands out from anybody. He's just one of those. All you gotta do is hear his voice, and you know who it is. And you kind of wonder, did he do that to make himself distinctive from other actors early in his career, or is that just
He just had he just had that leathery, rustic face. And he did, I want to say it was 73. He did a television movie, a version of Dracula, where he played Dracula. He was great in that. So yeah, Jack
Okay.
Palance.
Yep.
Batman, Tango and Cash for you youngsters.
Tango and Cat. That's right. Yeah, it was a good film. That was a fun film. That was a popcorn film as well. Yeah. Awesome.
Victor says, "Give me a long time. It's been give me a break. It's been a long time. Give me a break." No, I'm sorry. If you're going to come up here, know your stuff. No, I'm kidding, man. We love you.
Well, how about some remakes? You know,
Oh,
right now, this is what we're up against. Right now, I mean, remakes are the
mm,
hot thing. Whether it's films that they're looking at remaking, films that they've remade, going back and trying to, I guess now the term is quote reboot. You know, we're kind of in that we're in that realm right now. Everything's being redone and remade, and so what has risen to the top. I was a little selfish here. I picked a couple that I thought were really done well with the remake. That the original films were very good, and some of these were just. I mean, I own all of these, and I will sit and watch them, and probably like once a year. You have a handful that you will pull out and watch and just enjoy. And these guys, 310 to Yuma. I mean, my God. I mean,
yeah.
that was amazing. It was, probably in my mind, probably one of Christian Bale's best performances. Is
I
Mhm.
I just
yeah.
thought he's incredible in that film.
I was gonna mention that to you earlier in the week because that's probably and I don't really sit here and watch westerns a lot. I will every now and then, but I never saw the original. But that one right there, I agree. But those two men together in
Oh
310 just was fabulous. I agree with that.
yeah, and Russell Crowe,
Russell
amazing
Crowe,
in
yeah,
that film. Oh my gosh,
so good.
incredible, an incredible villain. And he had a different take because he was a villain in a western, but he
Uh
had a
huh.
conscience. You
But
know
he
what I
had a
mean? And he
conscience.
had, yep,
Yeah,
yeah, he had
yeah,
rules that he lived by.
I
It
know.
was kind of it was like the pirate's code almost. he did. I just always admired him for taking that part with his role. So what we got? True Grit remake was awesome. That was
I agree there
fabulous.
too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh my
that was
gosh,
awesome.
that's
Jeff
another one.
Bridges with a patch on the other eye.
Yep,
Yeah, man. I went out
yep.
and bought a copy of that myself, and love that film. I mean, Matt Damon, who kind of took a comedic part to his role at times,
Yeah.
with that one, was really good. Yeah, really good. But Bridges just killed it. I mean, I love his take on that. He was very unpolished, very crude, you know, um, not, way out of the realm of the original. It's in the same vein. I just really enjoyed how they approached this with some of these characters. I mean, even the little girl who, in the original, she definitely was someone who was, um, wasn't your typical, unfortunately, female role in a lot of your westerns. Didn't take a back seat to anyone. Was a
Yeah,
14-year-old girl and wanted to get this situation handled because of her father. And the new one, I mean, she was just downright like rude and ornery and did whatever she had to do to make things
Yeah.
happen. I just really thought they took those characters to
isn't it Haley
one step
Stanfield?
higher.
Haley
Hmm.
Stanfield,
I
Mike.
believe
Yeah,
so. I believe
And
so.
Kim Darby in the original.
Kim Darby.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. And Django was my favorite Quentin film until Once Upon a Time came to Hollywood. Yeah,
Yep.
Django was a good film.
That's Matt, I
Another one.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt's on here.
Another one done very, very well. And I'm kind of give or take with Tarantino films. Some of his films I really like and can watch them, and some of them I'm not a big fan. I don't know what it is. It's just it's kind of like Will Ferrell. There's some films I love Will Ferrell in. There's some Will Ferrell films
Yeah,
I
that's
don't want.
just he's
I
hit
have
or
no
miss.
desire.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It just that's the way. But I think that Quentin Tarantino with his films and what he does, I mean, there's probably not a lot of their gray areas where people are like, he's okay. It seems like they're
yeah.
either very much die hard or not so much.
Yeah, he's from Knoxville, right?
No,
Oh,
really.
really?
Where I live. Yeah,
Hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Janie?
Yeah, I know one of his cousins. I worked with him.
Nice.
So to hear that I come here to Rocky Top and live, they go, "Oh yeah, he went to UT, or he's from Knoxville area." It floored me. It literally floored me. So when you see that, watch that movie again, you'll think of me. I'm sorry, I just ruined it for you, Nate.
Janie, you're getting more and more interesting the more that you're on the show. I mean, you're driving Roy Rogers' truck.
Truck,
I
I
mean,
know.
come on.
Tarantino's cousin. Yeah.
Listen, listen. It's just meant to be in the stars for me to know the stars. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. But yeah, he
Well,
is.
good on you.
I think his mother's family is from here. But yeah, they're from Knoxville.
As far as he's concerned, Jaws is one of the best made films ever.
There it is. Yep.
Got to give him that, right?
Yeah.
Got to
Yeah.
give him that.
And I'm not a Tarantino fan. I never have. I'm really not. But I did watch Django, and Django is just awesome. Just oh my god, awesome. So I was really pleased with that, and I'm not a Leonardo DiCaprio fan either, sadly. But he scared the crap out of me in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And to know when he broke that glass and he really broke his hand, I have all due respect for him with that. But it's such a powerful film. It's just such a powerful film.
And since we're on DiCaprio, if you haven't seen The Revenant, you've got to watch that film. That is amazing. Yeah. It's long, but it is amazing. Amazing.
Him and Tom Hardy, yeah.
Yeah, him and Tom Hardy, and it's based on Bill. Oh, this is going to kill me now. Sorry, you can tell I live on the East Coast because for us it's Daniel Boone. It's more or less the Daniel Boone of the West. I mean, he was a real guy. It was a real story. I mean, there's some changes to it.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it's kind of like Daniel Boone, where there's so many stories out there about him. It's very, very hard to separate what's true and what's not, because he more or less became a mythologized person out west. I mean, he was. Right. I mean, it's really hard for them to know. They know he's originally from Pennsylvania. He ended up becoming a pirate of sorts, and finished up with that. And I want to say because he had run in with some Native Americans or something like that, ended up going out west, was getting into like the beaver pelt trade, and just like in the movie, was left for dead. He was left for dead. They were being raided by Native Americans, and in the movie, his son died. So his son was not with him in the movie or in real life, supposedly, and he fought through. I don't know. It was like 200 or 300 miles. Being near dead, crippled, couldn't walk, crawling, eating like roots and stuff like that. Feeding on leftover carcasses that wolves and things were eating, and made his way back to a fort to try and track down the guy that left him. However, he did never get vengeance because the man that left him, who Tom Hardy plays in the movie, spoiler alert for you guys, was an enlisted man at the time and could not go and kill an enlisted man because.
Oh gosh, yeah. See, I never knew that. I guess maybe I'm not a fan because when he was in Titanic, it just overdid it for me. If I had to hear one more time about Jack and Rose, I was going to throw myself off the Titanic. Okay, I can't. I love the museum that we have here because we have one here in Pigeon Forge, and there are articles in there. Some of the costumes are in there. I like that part of the story. I want the truth. I didn't care for Jack and Rose. I really didn't. And I just got so sick of hearing about it that I didn't want to hear anything more about DiCaprio ever. Now, I loved him in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I love him in that movie. He was a complete genius on that with Johnny Depp. But after that, it was like, I don't care. But I'll give this one a shot.
Yeah, a couple good ones.
I'll watch it. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll watch it.
Yeah, Shutter Island.
He's not on a boat. I'll be fine.
King of the world.
What if he came up with his hands around your waist? Would you do that, Jenny? Come on,
the way I'm gonna do is like, why? Why are we doing this? I don't care. I don't care that he could have got on the door. I don't care. It just I don't give a rat's. I don't care. So it just my heart will go on. Well, my headache went on forever listening about Jack and Rose. I just couldn't take it. I wanted to hear more about the unsinkable Molly Brown with Kathy Bates more than I
Kathy
did
Bates.
Jack and Rose.
Sure. And she
So,
played that well too.
yeah.
Guys, I need to duck out. I
Go ahead.
I'll catch the the end when I watch it tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night,
Hey,
Thanks
you
Mike.
do
for
the same.
joining
We'll
us.
catch you next week, Mike. Thanks for
I'll
coming
be
over.
there.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Yeah. All right, we got another comment or two here, and then we'll start looking at wrapping things up. So Magnificent Seven made a good effort. Haven't seen the True Grit yet. Magnificent Seven was a good film. It really was. I saw it. It was very much a glamorized version. I shouldn't say glamorized version because the original kind of they wanted everything to end clean and well, but the
Right.
characters just made the movie really made the movie well. And have you seen that one at all?
Um, I've seen the original, but not the remake.
Not the
Because
remake. Watch the remake.
yeah. I mean, there's some remakes that I would love to see, and
Mm-hmm.
usually I wait. To be honest, I wait to see like people such as Mike or like other people will say about it. Yeah, try it out, and I'll trust their judgment. That's what I did with True Grit, and I was so satisfied with True Grit because of the remake. But I mean, I've heard things of Magnificent Seven. I just was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna complain about the Titanic. I don't care about Magnificent Seven. No, I'm kidding.
Someone else was coming on the Titanic. It was all about
That's
the
Matt. It's Matt Drenenberg saying that. It's got me tickled. It was about the iceberg, and I'm mad about it, Matt. You know, I'd just rather hear when you do a historical movie like that. I want to know all the history. I want to know about the people. I think they should just portray to that. And I know it was a love story and everything, but I just got so overwhelmed with it. I was like, "Ugh." I'm not one for romance. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not. I'm not the Hallmark kind of girl. So
My wife's the
anyway,
same way. She likes the action films probably more so than I do. I mean, she's excited because the new Expendables is out, and not that
oh,
I'm not,
see,
but yeah.
yeah, you
But I
know,
heard it took a bath over the weekend. They said it made $8 million opening weekend.
oh boy. Well,
8. I was like, wow, I don't even know who's in this one.
I don't know. I like more of the action stuff and everything, but I just couldn't. I can't get into it. I watched it once. It was good. It was great. I love the true story about it. I don't care. I don't care. Don't care. I mean, I cried at the Ghostbusters when Egon came back as a ghost. That to me is
Oh
special.
yeah, yeah. The last couple of minutes of that film were just amazing, aren't they?
It's awesome, awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
All
I
right.
think this
Well,
is this is a good topic, buddy.
yeah. I think it turned out pretty good, and I thought I'd
Yeah.
kind of wrap us up and kind of leave us right there and talk about a couple of pretty quality, good quality remakes and good stopping point for a good
Yeah.
discussion. And we haven't talked about Star Trek in like 15 minutes. So
Because I've complained about Titanic.
it's all Titanic now, Jay. I'm just kidding. It's amazing how we can make connections to certain things, and especially with the knowledge that comes into this at times. Yeah,
Well,
it's kind of like what is it like the seven things with Kevin Bacon or whatever.
oh, the
You can
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon when you can try and noodle just about make a connection with something into what you're talking about. And
And it's
it's a
weird
little bit.
because I didn't find these things out until later, but I've always because I was very ill as a child, so I wasn't able to go outside. I had to stay inside. So whenever I was sick or in the hospital, I was in children's hospital for a little while. So
Oh wow,
yeah, I was real bad. And so there was always movies or TV shows or something on the TV to occupy me. And my dad was a drama teacher, so he got me into, just plays, Shakespeare, musicals and all that. So all that entertainment has come back on me and I love it. So whenever I talk about these things, this is me. This is what I grew up with. So when I found out about the truck, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I hated it too. I had a hole in the muffler of that truck, and everybody knew I was coming around when I was in school. I thought I was
nice
hot
and
stuff.
loud.
I used to drag race in that thing and win. So that was awesome. That was awesome.
And you now one time did you put the name Trigger on that truck?
I did not. No, I did not. But my little Kia that I have right now that's black, I call it the DeLorean because it used to. I can go 88 miles per hour in that sucker. So for
we
sure.
the I still have connections. I grew up around cars. My stepdad had a shop. He was a drag racer, and so I grew up around that kind of stuff. And I worked for many years as a mechanic. Still do a little bit in the summer. And the shop that I'm at, the owner and I have been really good friends for the last 20 years. And we always, there's always something neat, something old coming in. We would have a handful of clients that would come in with older cars to maintain them, or we had a guy that had like 3 or 4 cars in a barn. He would just bring it in, and he all he wanted to do is get it. He wanted to be able to drive it, and we wash it, and and then he would drive it for a while. We had a restored DeLorean in about a month and a half ago,
Oh
and it was
wow.
I'd driven a DeLorean before. It's like driving my John Deere lawn tractor. I mean, they weren't. It wasn't a fun car to drive. They didn't get out of their own
Yeah,
way. They
yeah,
didn't handle it
that's
very well.
yeah.
But it's a cool car. I mean, it was.
Yeah,
You, I mean, when you look at a perfectly polished stainless steel body, you just go. You just follow the body
right,
lines and check it out. And
right.
beautiful car, though. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting because with my family being from the North Kentucky, Ohio area, and then like there's a beautiful, and hopefully I'll still be able. You'll invite me to do if we do a Christmas thing. I would love to go up to a museum where they have. My life is completely boring. It just wasn't boring then, honey. Um, there's the Rosemary Clooney home where Rosemary Clooney used to live in Kentucky, and there are some white Christmas memorabilia, costumes, and things there. And I'm about
Really,
yes, and I'm about 3 hours away from there. And that's you want to talk about your favorite holiday movie. If you want to go back in the day, that's the holiday movie to go back. So I kind of would want to do that. So because the Clooney's are from the Cincinnati area, Kentucky area. Roy Rogers and his family was. So I'm very blessed to know all this and be a part of it. So
well, we could easily tackle that because I'm pretty shallow when it comes to holiday. I'm not a big Christmas movie guy. I'm
I'm
just
your
not.
girl.
But my favorite to this day, and I turned my son onto it. My wife still, I don't think she's watched it the whole way through. It, it's Ralphie. It's a Christmas story.
You listen. You that is probably the number one Christmas movie ever.
I mean, I grew up watching it,
Absolutely.
and my only trip to Ohio, we went out. We went to Canton. We did like the NFL Hall of Fame. We did Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is the whole reason we went in the first place. And when I found that we were like 10 minutes away from that house,
Cleveland.
you better
Yeah.
believe we did an afternoon there, and it was
Yep.
amazing. It was incredible.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, HBO last year had put on this it was Peter Billingsley. He had, the original cast members instead of except Melinda Dillon, she didn't come back and reprise her role, but it was where Ralphie goes back when he's a grown up now.
I
And
watched it. It was
it
good.
it was just as good as the first one. It had every single element that the first one gave you, if not another
It
direction.
really was. There were some
So yeah.
fabulous scenes in there too. Well, we
Yeah.
won't dive into that. We'll tuck that one away for a couple months, and we'll have
That's right,
we'll
because I got to
discuss
get
that.
through Halloween first and Scarefest if I'm gonna, because I've decided to meet up with Mike, so I'll be going there in Lexington.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yep,
you guys are going to be there.
we're gonna meet
That's
up.
cool.
Yep, we
All
are.
right, can send me some pictures. Or well, actually, we'll have to do a show on Scarefest. It'll be right around that time of year. So,
Yep, that'll be good. Yeah, that'll be good.
all right, talk to Mike. We'll throw a couple ideas around. That'd be awesome.
Good. I'll
Good.
dress up like a nurse, and we'll see what happens for Halloween.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. We got what? Die Hard is the best Christmas movie.
Oh,
Sure, sure. Wait. Come
all
on.
right. Well,
Beats out Jaws: The Revenge. Come on.
no. Okay, only in the very first beginning. Okay. We're only going to accept that because Donna Honig is in the first few minutes of that. So that's the only reason why we're going to accept it.
That's like 15 minutes. The rest of us.
And that's it. You're done.
Awesome.
All
All right,
right,
guys.
guys.
Hey, we really appreciate you guys coming on site and hanging out with us. Hope you had a good time. Enjoyed talking a little bit about the westerns, talking a little bit about Titanic, talking a little bit about Star Trek, and we'll see you guys back next week with a little bit of Let's Talk Journalism Live. So have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the fall weather and take care.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.